Hi guys, welcome to today's session. So we're going to be carrying on with what we've been doing the past couple of weeks with this one. And that's rendering what we already had established. So pardon me. So the first two sessions of this rendering stage, we were working sort of mostly around the eyes, moving down a little bit into the nose. And what we're going to do this week is just carry on essentially down the face and try to get the rest of the face in place. So yeah, we can get pretty much straight into it. So we're going to be looking at bottom of the cheeks, bottom of the nose, and how all that kind of connects a little bit, maybe moving back up into the nose if necessary. First of all, I'm just going to take a slightly bigger brush and just use a little bit of my medium, just to oil in the darks, make sure they're saturated. So you can see that makes everything a little bit back to being a little bit darker, where it maybe would have been a bit washed out if we hadn't oiled in. Makes it a bit easier to make sure we're matching the colours from previous sessions. So I've done that. First thing I want to do, I'm going to try to make sure that in terms of shapes, the mouth aligns well with the nose above. So we sort of worked the nose down, making sure that it aligns roughly in the correct places relative to the eyes. It's going with a slightly stronger reddish colour here. A bit more red in this shadow on the nose as well. And I'll put a particularly strong red just here as the shadow emerges out underneath the tip of the nose. That's a sort of chromal shift, so a saturation shift that I've spotted. And I also want to go a little bit more intense on the shadow, reflective shadow on this cheek, just in here. So I'm now working on this cheek edge, so where this cheek's coming in, and I want it to kind of balance across with this form here on the left hand side, so I'm kind of trying to look for balance as much as possible through the piece. And a part of this will be when we get down to the mouth, making sure the mouth kind of sits accurately within these spaces. But we can just get started with the bigger sort of cheek forms that surround all this stuff. And from there start to move in towards the smaller forms of the mouth. We've got a lot of kind of shifts between pinky flesh tones, which are more cadmium red based, and more yellowish flesh tones, which will have more yellow ochre in them. It's maybe a touch too pinkish, so I'm going to get just some pure yellow ochre to mix into OCAD. Just mixing up some lower chroma transitional tones. I'm just going to get a slightly darker tone I want to pull across the corner of the mouth. Just a bit more to the left here. And get a little bit more of a kind of upturn across the mouth by lifting this right hand up slightly. trying to also keep it a bit more balanced out. So it's looking a bit better. Now I just want to fill in a little bit kind of the flesh shape in the shadows here. Start to get that tracking up and connecting to the cheek. And use a bit of burnt umber to just build the shadow tones a little bit more around it. More of a raw umber here. Raw umber and white, which is always a good mixture for more of a kind of neutralized flesh tone, where the burnt umber might be a little bit warm. You can switch to a raw umber like this. And then I want a slightly higher chroma, so a bit more color to it, lighter tone that runs through this connecting line down the side of the face. That's a little bit too pinkish, so we're going to go for more of a yellow ochre. Actually, that's probably better colour for up here. We want something light but not quite that strong, so I'm going to mix a bit more raw umber into this. Neutralise that down a little bit. And pull this light shape across a little bit as well. Tad lower chroma. So I'm also changing this shape to pull the bottom lip in a little bit, and it's helping quite a lot of these changes around the lips. Got some more kind of light shapes through here, just rippling the kind of like wrinkles almost that go up the mouth a little bit. We only get a really dark note down here. Everything else is a little bit more rounded, kind of lighter and rounded than we probably have it, or than I have it at the moment. Hopefully you guys are a bit more on the ball than mine. This light shape. So as I say, I'm looking for sort of symmetry across the face, not into complete symmetry, but structural symmetry. So Just want to make sure that, say, this form, this kind of light shape that's stretching up, is matched on the opposite side. A little bit of a highlight into this chin slightly, and I want to go a little bit lighter and start reworking some of the forms up over the top of the mouth as well, but it's definitely getting there. You can see I'm keeping the tones generally a bit darker down around the mouth than up top, so we're not going as bright as the general tones up in the top of the mouth. I want to pull the lips, center of the lips across a little bit as well, so I've sort of pulled a lot of different parts of the mouth across, but it still feels a little bit too much like the lips are facing forwards rather than towards the right like we want it to. So it's just going to require a little bit of kind of subtle shifting around the lips. Just pulling the filter or that V shape across as well. just soften that transition a little bit too. I'm also pulling across this darker shape underneath the lip. So I've managed to kind of add quite a lot of detail, but at the same time do a lot of corrections today, which is certainly something that you can always do at any stage of the painting. It doesn't matter whether you're rendering or not, or whatever. So I just want to try and give a little bit more sense that the base of the chin is swinging across a bit more. Put some slightly lighter tones down into the chin. And then, yeah, that's looking not too bad. I'm going to move back up here, put a few more slightly darker raw umbery tones. And we'll probably be at a pretty good point, I think, to stop. I'll maybe go back up and work on the nose, although I think the nose looks not too bad now that we've got more of this mouth in place. Just in general, everything's sitting a little bit better. So I think we're getting, in terms of like a natural stopping point, this is not a bad natural stopping point. And when we get back in the next session, we can sort of assess everything and see what we can do to kind of keep pushing it forwards. Popping in a few little more patches up here. Building a bit further texture, maybe a little bit more of a light patch actually on that side there. Just a bit of white mixed into my flesh tone. And just a little bit more of a lighter colour just here in the centre of the lips. Maybe a little bit less light and a little bit more red than that would be good. Sort of bowing in a little bit. But yeah, that's looking alright, I reckon, as a stopping point for today. Maybe just a tiny bit lighter corner of the mouth here. This shape. A bit less dark as well. And I'll maybe just blend just a tiny bit more across this shadow, making its way over. Just change its angle slightly. A little bit more light in this space. And a tiny bit more of a kind of like a greenish reflection using some raw umber and white just under here. Quite what I was after, I'll just neaten that up with some black afterwards. So I was thinking just these colours here. Yes, that helped a little bit actually. Just changed the sense of the shape of the base of the chin. Just do a tiny little bit of reshaping. We're going to get into this in the next session when we're actually working on the background, but do a little bit of just reshaping of the cheek, the chin, just by working the white that's next to it. We'll do more of that next time. You can sort of see the impact that has. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. Just going to zoom out slightly, show you guys a little bit more of the portrait as it's coming along. It's definitely got a bit more clarity than it had, obviously especially through the bottom, but generally it kind of pulled everything together a bit more. So next time we're going to be working on the rest of the portrait sort of as a whole. It's the background, getting all our blacks in and putting more of the cool colours or greens and so on in the headwear. And then once that's done, we'll come back and spend 1 or 2 more sessions kind of doing final refinements around the face. Yeah, hopefully as you can see it's coming together, and if you're working alongside me, I hope yours are going well too. You can always pop a message in the chat if you want to ask any specific questions. And as always, you can subscribe to our channel to see new videos from myself and other tutors and students from the school. And yeah, if you want to see what sort of paid qualifications we offer, you can click the link through in the description below. But yeah, that's it for this week, and I'll see you guys soon.